So hi everyone. Today we'll try to understand what are outliers and how we can detect outliers in a numerical dataset using Zscore. So let's get started. So first of all, let's understand what are outliers. So outliers is a basic concept which revolves around the idea that certain values in your dataset might not fall in sync with the all the rest of the values. They can be called as an outliers, and eventually outliers can be troublesome while training a machine learning model. So the model might get confused with these values that were not expected. So for example, assume that while working, like the salary of private employees is usually 8,000 in a particular office, but but in the data set for one of the employees it is mentioned as 1 lakh. Now this this value is not significant, is not falling in line with the other values. So where other employees are getting 8,000, 9,000, 7,000, a value around that number, one of the employees getting 1 lakh rupees. Now this can be because of the case that the data is wrong, or and hence while training a model for like detecting, for estimating the salary of employees, it is quite necessary that we remove this value, as your model might not be able to perform well because of presence of an outlier. So outlier removal is quite necessary, and today we'll understand how we can use the concept of Z score from statistics to remove outlier. So the formula for Z score, as you can see on the second cell, is uh, x minus mean of x divided by standard deviation of x, where x is the numerical column. So single value of a particular entity minus the mean of the whole column divided by the standard deviation of the whole column. Now, once you calculate the z score for each and every value in the data set, if the z score for some values comes to be below -3 or more than 3, then usually it is considered as an outlier. Now you can play around with this threshold depending upon a data set, but the usual number is -3 and 3. So the z score for every value to not to be a outlier should lie between this -3 to 3 range. So let's get started. So first of all, we will be importing all the required libraries first of all. Second, we would be loading the Titanic data set that we have in my local, that is with the name train.csv in a data frame. Second, we would be trying out Z-score for detecting outliers on the fair column in this data set. So let's first of all see its distribution. So here you can see that the histogram, there are a few values around 500 and some values on 200, 300 as well. Now I will be also introducing a couple of outliers at index 200 and 400 with values 2000 and minus 2000. Now as you can see in this distribution, most of the values are around 0 to 1, 0 to 100. Now value with 2000 or minus 2000 is quite significantly different from all the values. Now this can be potential outlier. Similarly, this particular value, that is 500, can also be a potential outlier, or even 200, 300 might be outlier for certain cases. So let's see what is the z-score for all these values. So we would be using the scipy.stats.z-score uh, to calculate the z-score for this particular column. We won't be implementing the mathematical formula directly, as it is already present. Now let's see what are the values that we got for with a score greater than 3, where we are calculating the absolute z-score. So we won't be considering that below -3 or greater than -3. So if you're going with an absolute, any z-score value greater than 3 would work out for us. So once you see the result here, you can see that both the outliers that we introduced in the dataset have been detected, alongside the values that are present at near 500 are also taken as an outlier that I was considering. I assume that if we lower down this threshold to say 2.5 or 2, it might be the case that we might capture these values as well. So this was the idea about how we can detect outliers using z-score.